Hello, hello, you talented stars and starlets. It's your stage mom here. And if this is your first time on my channel, then welcome. Please subscribe right down below. This channel is all about ways to level up, is entertainers in your entertainment career. And I don't know, I was kind of conflicted today with whether or not I should post something, but I've been made a commitment to myself to post daily. And I've been feeling a lot about what's been going on in the world, in Minnesota, in New York, everywhere with Corona. And, today was just been a really emotional day. So I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to post, but I decided that to continue with the commitment that I made to myself, regardless of, the emotions that I've been feeling all day today. So I'm going to continue with today being Sunday school and discussing the war of art. And I guess I wanted to continue, other than the fact that I made a commitment to myself, but, sometimes we still need to feel like ourselves in order to be able to help others. And sometimes, maybe you'll get the spark that you need to do something to do better. Maybe something that I said will allow you to shift and change. And so continuing to put things out there as an opportunity for people to hear it, and maybe it's an opportunity to help other people shift, change, and grow. So that is why I'm doing this video, even though I'm about to cry still. So it's just starting out, resistance and criticism is what, oh yeah, we're talking about this guy, this book. Resistance and criticism. And so sometimes we do criticize others, and I think that's quite pertinent with what's going on in the world today and right now, is that we look at the other, and sometimes we have negative ideas as to what they're doing. And if it's in like an artistic sense, usually when you have a lot of criticisms for the other person, it's because you are deep down kind of wishing that you were able to do that or have that or be that. And so even with what's going on in the world today, there's a lot of criticism with how people are reacting to certain situations and how people are retaliating and what people are doing. And not that I'm saying that I agree with all the things that are happening and how they are happening, but I do have compassion for how they are happening. And when others criticize the way that people are reacting, I feel that there might be a small piece of them that wish that they had it inside of them to be able to fight injustice and have that tenacity and that spirit within them, that they're able to go against the system and lash out and as much as it's not how I would want to express myself, I understand how it can come about from someone. And those that are not compassionate to these people's situation, I feel it so because they wish deep inside that they had that much tenacity within them. Anyways, okay, so back to this book. Sometimes we just don't want to see other people living out their truth more than we are for ourselves. And so that's definitely where resistance sometimes comes in, hearing that critique, because it just stops you from doing your own thing, being your own voice, standing up for yourself. Like, if you're focused on somebody else's stuff, like, what about focusing on you and what you can do? And so that's one way that resistance does creep in. It also creeps in with self-doubt, which goes quite commonly with criticism. We usually are critical of ourselves, and with self-doubt, we let ourselves not be able to excel or do anything. When you bring in your own self-criticism, the negative self-talk, the limiting beliefs, when all that creeps in, it's like we allow ourselves not to achieve our goals, achieve our dreams. And it's like the self-doubt becomes the reason why it lets you, gives you the way out. It gives you the opportunity to not do what you're supposed to do, because self-doubt comes in and you can tell yourself that you aren't good enough, or you're not great, or you're not capable. And so then you just don't, and you prove yourself right because you didn't do it. And that means you're not capable and that you don't deserve it, or so self-doubt is probably one thing that most people really have to deal with. I talk a lot about in my videos about limiting beliefs and shifting and changing your mindset, and how, it's so important about how you talk to yourself and how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your work that you're putting through. Because it's like, why fight yourself? There's so many battles that are being fought today. Like, don't fight yourself anymore. Allow yourself to at least have that form of self-expression. Allow yourself to be able to do the things that you're meant to do. Self-doubt is just it's so crippling sometimes that I wish for you to get a handle on your self-doubt, so then you're not lashing out at yourself and preventing yourself from creating your great work. So fear is pretty common with resistance. With fear, I say this often, but on the other side of fear is all your greatest desires. And fear can act as a compass. It can act as a route marker. It can act as a bullseye as to where you need to go further, where you need to explore, where you need to expand through. Like, if you are afraid to do something, obviously not putting your life in danger, but if you are working on something and you have intense fear about it and you don't want to do it, it's probably because you have to do it. You are meant to do it. Everything that you've always wanted is on the other side once you push through this fear. And so kind of reward or be grateful when you see fear come up, because then you're on the right path and you're walking in the right direction. Fear is definitely going to come up when you're working towards the best stuff for you and the best stuff for your life. And so take it as something to be happy that it comes up, because you know that it's something important for you and that it's great for you to work through. I don't love fear, but I do love when I see fear come up, because I'm like, if fear comes up, that means there's something unknown on the other side, that the unknown is what I'm hesitant towards, and you can't predict, you don't know how to react, you don't know how it's going to be. And so it's the trust in the work or the universe or whatnot that you're going to be okay, but you just don't know what the outcome is. And that allowing is what we respect in a lot of artists, is that they allow themselves to move through the fear, feel the fear and do it anyways, is what a lot of coaches will say. So that's what I'm saying to you. Feel the fear and do it anyways. I guess I got to write that screenplay. I fell behind. I'm sorry. But I'm going to go back to it for sure, because I feel like I have actually a lot more that I want to express through it. Yeah, maybe the timing wasn't right, but because I can't imagine right now, like, the film and television industry going back to the way it was. And so with what I was writing, not that I wasn't taking into consideration all these issues that we're facing right now, but it's changed. I'm different. I'm a changed person, and the world has changed. The viewer is changed. It's different. It's more educated. It's experienced more things. And so I feel that maybe your work needs to change as well. Maybe you need to, adapt it to a new lens and adapt it to a new audience. Maybe that's what all this time is meant for. This incubation and this self-isolation is for us to reimagine our masterpiece through the new lens. So we got fear. Yeah, you know what? He gives an example in his book, and he talks about Bruce Lipton, rest in peace, about one question that he always asks his guests, and he says to them, what factors make you decide to take on a particular role? And the actor always answers, because I'm afraid of it. And do you know what? I always love the work of the actors who are afraid of the work. They don't, not the ones that do the work that they're comfortable with and it's easy, tend to be not the work that I gravitate towards. It's like when I see people really having to go within and, find the deepness within them and bring that out and through this character, those are the roles that I'm most captivated when I can actually, lose the actor and I'm with this character. This is a person to me. And that transformation, that is what's really scary about the work, but it's also the most gratifying about the work. It's the most satisfying about the work. And so if you use fear as a compass, you know that on the other side of it, it's going to be something magical. And I think that we should be shooting and aiming for magic. What else do we have here? So we have resistance and love. So whenever you have resistance, resistance comes up all the time. Usually the bigger the resistance, the more important the project is. But it's also the more love that you have for a project, the more of a passion project that it is. Also, you're going to have the equal amount of resistance that steps in to thwart you finishing this passion project. And so it can also be considered a marker, as much, because you're going to have so much love, and the amount of love that you have for this project, sometimes you're going to want to cradle it and caress it, and you don't want to do anything with it because you're afraid if it gets in the wrong hands, or you're just going to be too precious with it. Well, that's kind of a form of resistance, not allowing it to go into their hands. I mean, resistance shows up in so many different ways, but definitely you can measure the amount of resistance you're going to have by the amount of love that you have for a project. And so just be wary about how, when you have so much love for a project, how resistance is going to come in, because if it might come in pretty strong if you have a lot of passion for this project. We also have resistance and being a star. And I think that what he was kind of talking about is like having an idealistic image of grandiose. I'm going to be a star. And yes, that can be part of your vision board and part of your dream, but to have an idea of being a star without realizing what that would entail. Like, being a star means that you have put in the work and it's being reflected by the amount of people that have seen it and it's being and appreciated and are watching it. And so it's kind of like there's no overnight success, really. Like, all those overnight success stories are people that have worked for 20 years in the business without getting a break, or their big break. And so if you have the idea that it's going to be easy and you're just going to be discovered, it's happened, so maybe it'll happen to you. But if that is the dream, that you're just going to get discovered one day, chances are it could be resistance coming in to prevent you from doing the work to actually make you become successful and then in turn become a star. So if you aren't putting in the work, chances are resistance has got you. And then lastly for today, we'll talk about resistance and isolation. A lot of people, and we're probably noticing this right now, are afraid of being alone, being by themselves with their thoughts and their ideas. And, we're always looking for distractions, playing games and Zoom chats and watching Netflix and, binging series, all this, which is great. I've done it myself. I can condone it. But also, though, we have all this time in self-isolation. Like, why haven't we been able to complete those masterpieces? And it's because sometimes we're scared of that alone time because we know where we're going to have to go, those depths deep down, to actually connect with your higher self, connect with your heart, connect with all your chakras, like get everything in alignment to be in that receiving mode where you can create your best work. And once we're in it, oh, it's great. You can probably write for hours and you're just like in the flow and you're in that energy. But there's something about knowing what it takes to get there that we all avoid. And that happens usually when you're alone and when you have no distractions. So we can come back to Pomodoro timers and just do a little bit of alone time where you're working on your project once a day, just a little bit, not even a lot, just like one sentence, one paragraph, 10 minutes max. I don't know, make it do something that's no pressure, because the pressure of creating something, I know I've even talked about it today, but the pressure of creating something during this time is big. And that pressure may also start becoming resistance. And so since we're working on resistance, let's try to overcome resistance. And so my suggestion today is just do little chunks without having any expectations. Who cares if it's great? Who cares if it's what it's all like? Who cares? Just start getting some of it out there and get comfortable with, yourself and talking with yourself and allowing yourself to create from within, and just see what happens if you just dedicate just a little bit of time every day. So we got through it. Thanks for listening today. I'm probably going to have maybe a full post tomorrow dedicated to how I'm feeling about what's going on. I think it's important to, to say something, for people to know that they're not alone, because sometimes unless we hear someone that looks like them saying the things that they feel, we don't necessarily think our voice is being heard or that anybody understands where we're coming from. So I would like to, for maybe one person, who knows, be that voice for them, and maybe have a little discussion online as to my perspective of what's going on and maybe how we can work through it and what we can do. So I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm sending tons of love and light to all your families and friends, everyone affected by what's going on in the world, either in Minnesota, in New York, in the rest of the world for Corona, like anybody that's experiencing any trauma. I'm sending you love. Know that you are cared for, you matter, you are appreciated, and you're not in this alone. So we're going to do our best to help everybody. So that's all I have to say for today. And I think today I'll just say love and light.